Hi, people of God. If you can see me, God bless you. So let's talk about comparison. It's one of the devil's most effective weapons. And the truth is, comparison is not just a bad habit. Biblically, spiritually, and psychologically, it's a distortion of identity. So, we'll look at it from those layers, the role it plays in the matrix, and how to break free from it. Biblically, the root of comparison at its core was born from pride, insecurity, covetousness, identity confusion, and a separation from God's design. Yes, so the enemy's original fall was rooted in comparison. See Isaiah 14. Lucifer said, I will ascend. I will exalt myself above the throne of God. He looked at God's position and became dissatisfied with his own portion. So comparison will tell you why them and not me. That's the covetousness. That's the jealousy. That's the envy. That's the pride. That's the insecurity. Why is their life better than mine? Why wasn't I chosen? Why don't I look like them? Why is their calling bigger? So the moment comparison enters the room, that's the moment peace leaves. That's the moment gratitude dies. Comparison trains you to look sideways, to be looking for someone else's portion, someone else's grass, when you're supposed to look upward to God. Spiritually, comparison attacks identity and assignment. So God created everyone intentionally, specifically, with different callings, with different identities, with different seasons, different capacities, different journeys. But comparison makes you abandon your own assignment, and then you try to imitate someone else's. That's the enemy's greatest weapon and agenda, to disconnect you from your own divine identity, from your own divine assignment. So when you constantly compare, you stop hearing from God clearly. You become performative. You chase validation. You become jealous. That can lead to murderous envy. You become depressed because you're comparing. You resent other people's blessings. You compete instead of love. You counterfeit. You imitate instead of creating. When if only you would water your own grass, you'd find the capacity because you already had it. Comparison will give you spiritual blindness because you never see your own life as good because you're always measuring up to somebody else. The enemy wants your focus on other people's money, other people's lives, platform, beauty, marriages, gifts, followers, influence, status, instead of obedience. Psychologically, comparison distorts your identity. It's the same across board, biblically, spiritually, same thing. But the thing is, humans, it's the matrix, right? It makes you compare or evaluate yourself socially. It is the system that we're in. It's not the human mind that was designed that way. No, it's a condition of your environment that shapes the human mind. So it's not natural for one to evaluate themselves socially. It's as a result of the conditioning. But anyways, modern culture weaponizes this instinct that has been embedded in a lot of people, especially through social media, celebrity culture, hyper-consumerism, hyper-competition, performance culture, curated lifestyle. So people tend to compare themselves. They compare their behind the scenes to somebody else's highlights. They compare your real life struggles to somebody's edited perfection. You compare your process to somebody else's outcome. So this in turn creates anxiety, envy, shame, chronic dissatisfaction, depression, low self-worth, burnout, body dysmorphia. That person got a BBL, you want to get a BBL too. Performance addiction too. So the brain starts to attract or attach external metrics as worth, likes, money, attractiveness, status, achievements, attention. So once your identity becomes externalized, people can become uncontrollable. You won't know the level you'd go to just to achieve your likes and your followers. This is why competition fuels the system. So what's the role of comparison in the matrix, I hear you ask? Okay. So the system of this world keeps people spiritually distracted, emotionally enslaved, and identity fractured. So comparison keeps people endlessly consuming, competing. Insecurity is just through the roof. Performance culture, proving yourself endlessly. Think about it. Advertising thrives on comparison. Influencer culture, excuse me, hello, it thrives on comparison. What about luxury culture? It's envy driven. Envy thrives on comparison. So the system constantly tells you that you're incomplete unless you become more like them. So this keeps people consuming, buying, striving, performing, shape-shifting, abandoning their authenticity, abandoning their identity. Comparison creates this artificial scarcity in the mind. And so instead of there's purpose for everyone has your own lane, you just do you. Be creative on your own. No. This system of the world tells you your value is only when you compare yourself to others. And it's only when you're above others. So that mindset destroys love. Because love celebrates others. Comparison, it competes with them. So the devil's agenda is simple. Corrupt identity, produce envy, create division. It keeps people spiritually distracted. And 5, it traps them in endless, chronic dissatisfaction. It's a never-ending loop. Because the devil knows a grateful person is very hard to enslave. Comparison kills gratitude. So how do you break free? 1, you root your identity in God, not performance. Your worth cannot come from money, looks, status, relationship, platforms, achievement, none of that. Because all of that are external and it fluctuates. But your identity in God, it's rooted, stable, even when seasons change. 3, you stop idolizing people. You can admire if it's healthy, okay. But the moment you start to put somebody on a pedestal, you start to idolize them. And it's dangerous. Everyone is human. Everyone has weaknesses. Everyone has battles that they face. You don't exalt a human being. 3, you practice gratitude aggressively. Gratitude dismantles comparison. Because comparison tells you that what you have is not enough, right? But when you're grateful, God has been faithful for all that you have, big or small. A grateful heart becomes so hard for the devil to manipulate with comparison. 4, limit your environments to places that feed comparison. Maybe endless scrolling, status-driven spaces, toxic competition at work, anything that just creates that kind of environment, come out from there. What you repeatedly watch or consume begins to shape your heart. And 5, understand seasons. Don't compare your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. God works differently with different people. Lastly, heal the wounds beneath the comparison. The rejection, the neglect, the childhood wounds, the abandonment, everything. Comparison is a cry for worthiness. Your healing matters. Therefore, comparison is ultimately a war against contentment, identity, and purpose. So the enemy doesn't need you to become evil sometimes. It just needs you to be distracted, envious, insecure, anxious, exhausted, and disconnected from who God created you to be.